Hello and welcome everybody to today's edition of Mexico News Network's Breaking News Business. I'm your host, Elliot Bullman. Remember to follow us on all our social networks and to catch us every day by logging onto our website, mexiconewsnetwork.com, for relevant stories and news. Let's start with today's information. Donald Trump's new fight is with Germany, and this time he's up against an iron counterpart, the German Chancellor Angela Merkel. It all began last week on the US President's tour of several countries and included meetings with global leaders. During these meetings, there were two key moments. The first was when Trump questioned the Atlantic Treaty Organization, NATO, of which Germany is a member, and the latter when he refused to support the Paris Agreement, which aims to limit global carbon dioxide emissions. Last Thursday in Brussels, Trump criticized NATO partners for not spending their fair share on defense, and then he resumed his attacks on Germany's trade surplus with the United States. In response, Merkel told reporters that the whole debate on the climate was very difficult, not to say very disappointing. There's no indication as to whether or not the United States will follow the Paris Agreement, she added. A day later, Merkel raised the level of tension, saying that Europe can no longer fully trust its allies, highlighting the wounds left by the G7 and NATO meetings. Trump's response came Tuesday, saying that Germany's trade and spending policies are very bad, further deepening the tension between the two allies. He went on the attack on Twitter by saying, "We have a huge trade deficit with Germany, plus they pay much less than they should in NATO, very bad for the US. This will change." In other headlines, the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development report, Business and Financial Perspectives 2017, estimates corruption at nearly $2 trillion a year in a conservative amount. To size up this misallocation of resources, the annual amounts of paid bribes account for more than half of the needs of the global economy to increase productivity by improving infrastructure investment by 2030, notes the document. The report explains that the causes of corruption are complex, although they may be due to the wealth of a country or its culture. It recommends that citizens have a voice in the democratic process and freedom of the press. One of the most recent examples is that of the Brazilian construction company Odebrecht in several Latin American countries. According to the OECD, the causes of this practice are related to the country's wealth in addition to being part of its culture. The Panama Papers is another one of the cases cited in the report as a reference of the modus operandi of businessmen and also politicians. In this sense, evidence shows that corruption is involved in investments in countries where governance and property rights are weak. Large remote banking centers are those that act as transfer centers for investment elsewhere. According to the OECD, this practice reduces foreign direct investment to a country and slows its growth. The incoming capital flows are shared with private interests rather than with national interests, such as the allocation for social programs, while the money disappears into the accounts of politicians and officials in foreign banks. In other news, anyone looking for investment opportunities with the Mexican government can now find them online through a platform designed to promote investment and provide information about infrastructure projects. Proyectos Mexico, or Mexico Projects Hub, as the site is called in English, is the result of collaboration between Mexico's development bank, Bancomext, and the Federal Finance Secretariat, and aims to make it easier, quicker, and cheaper for investors to get the information they need. Currently, there are 312 projects listed on the platform across 7 different sectors. Most are in electricity, while next on the list is hydrocarbons with 99 projects. Many are already underway, but 134 projects are at the pre-investment stage. Figures from the Secretariat of Economy show that Mexico received just over $32 billion in foreign direct investment in 2015, and last year ranked 47th out of 190 countries for ease of doing business, according to a study by the World Bank. The interactive platform, which allows users to receive real-time notifications about projects in various stages of completion, may help Mexico to improve its investment rankings. And finally, let's check the markets. The Mexican peso increased 0.08% to 18.63 from 18.61 in the previous trading session. IPC Mexico decreased 0.99% to 48,788 from 49,278 in the previous trading session. This was all for today. Thank you for staying with us. I'm your host, Elliot Bullman. Remember to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Google+, and log on to MexicoNewsNetwork.com for more information on Mexico and the world. Until next time.